Wow, some crazy news out there. Maybe not so surprising to some of you guys out there. Recently touted as Shroud's game, although it was certainly more than that. It was Spectre Divide, and Mountaintop Studios, of course the studio behind the game, have now announced they are both shutting down shortly after releasing their Season 1 material, which is pretty crazy, although yet again maybe not too surprising based on concurrent player counts, but the game will no longer be. Within the next 30 days, it will be shut down, and even more so surprising and very sad to see is the studio behind them being Mountaintop. They are also closing their doors as it seems they put all their chips into this game and it did not work out. As in a letter to the fans, they did say, "It's been 2 weeks since we launched Spectre Divide Season 1, Flashpoint. We're incredibly grateful for the positivity and support that you've shown over that short time. Unfortunately, the Season 1 launch hasn't achieved this level of success we needed to sustain the game and keep Mountaintop afloat. We were optimistic about the first week where we had around 400,000 players play with a peak concurrent player count of around 10,000 across all platforms. But as time has gone on, we haven't seen enough players and incoming revenue to cover the day-to-day costs of Spectre and the studio. Since the PC launch, we stretched our remaining capital as far as we could, but at this point, we are running out of funding to support the game. This means Mountaintop will be closing its doors at the end of this week. We pursued every avenue to keep going, including finding a publisher, additional investment, and/or acquisition. In the end, we weren't able to make it work. The industry is in a tough spot right now." And this is certainly one that people will look back on, especially when you consider the numbers that went into this game. Just recently, I believe the end of last year, beginning of this year, they had raised a recent round of $30 million, begging a lot of people to ask, where did that money go? What did they expect? And of course, the overall investment into this project being reported around $80 million over the last 4 to 5 years. People are wondering what the heck really went down, and were funds mismanaged? Was this game mismanaged? What were the expectations set? Obviously going to be fairly high given they spent 4 years working on this project, and it sucks, especially when you tout big investors. You have people like Timmy, you have people like Shroud, who is obviously touted as it was his game because he had more than just an investment role. You also had Tarek on there, some NBA players and more in your recent rounds, and so expectations were high. But right now in the shooter genre and category, it is so difficult. I mean, what's the last game we saw? And Marvel Rivals, I wouldn't consider that just to be a shooter, right? What's the last game we saw in the FPS or shooter genre that was actually successful? Because this, of course, coming off the back of X-Defiant, which was largely unsuccessful too. It's like, who can actually penetrate this market right now? If you can't do it with $80 million, who the heck is going to come around and do it themselves? It's crazy. As when they co-founded the studio, they had around $5 million. Then they actually had a round in 2021 of $30 million. Shortly after that, 2023, over $20 million. And then this most recent round, yet again, another $30 million. And in interviews, they talk about how they went from 60 to 70, I believe upwards of 80 employees at Mountaintop Studios, all hoping that Spectre Divide would be the next up-and-coming shooter, the coveted and so-called 10,000-hour game, which unfortunately did not last that 10,000 hours. Although it was a unique concept split between the two characters going back and forth, it was unique. It just didn't hit, and maybe wrong place, wrong time. But at the end of the day, when it comes back to that number, it does seem high. $80 million. Maybe I'm missing something, but it is shocking. And so we await to see if any of those investors, I don't know how those finances worked when it comes to the investment rounds, but I would love to see someone like Timmy or Tarek, and especially Shroud, talk about this and what went down, because I think that genuinely would be a really needed conversation from the community. It just, at the end of the day, obviously 80 people are losing their jobs over at Mountaintop, and it sucks. That is... It's a sign of the times. As they even said in their own post, this industry is in a very tough spot right now. So Spectre Divide is going to be shutting down alongside its studio. What do you guys think about this? Where do you think the game went wrong? And hopefully we continue to see others try this shooter genre out. But gonna have to probably come from a little less budget and a little more hope of what can actually work in this market right now. Till next time, though, take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you back here bright and early tomorrow morning with more gaming news. Take care, guys.